Hi guys, I hope you all had a great weekend. Now this week I'm going to be doing our reading lessons. For the first part of each session we're going to be looking at a new text, but please don't worry because at the end of each lesson we'll carry on reading A Boy and a Bear in a Boat. So let's go. Here are our Viper skills that we practice in our reading sessions. We'll find out later which one is going to be the focus of this week. Our learning objective this week is to discuss word meanings, linking new meanings to those we already know. So for our starter, you're going to need your inference skills. The text we're looking at is from this magazine. What part of the world do you think the magazine is about? Pause the video now, have a look at the front cover and see what clues you can find. The magazine is called Polar Science, and then underneath that it says Explore the Ends of the Earth. So the magazine is all about polar habitats. That's the North Pole and the South Pole. Now, many of you have already found out loads of interesting information about these places, but for those of you that maybe haven't had time to research it yet, or if you just want to refresh your memory, we're going to talk about the North and the South Pole briefly now. Here's where we find our polar habitats on a map. So remember, before Christmas in geography, we learnt our compass directions. The North Pole is in the north, obviously, and it's therefore at the top of the map. It's also known as the Arctic. Then the South Pole is at the bottom of the map in the south, and it's also known as Antarctica. Now, although maps are really useful to find places, remember that the Earth is actually a sphere. So this is what they look like on a globe. As you can see, they're opposite each other. Now, of course, there are lots of similarities between the North and the South Pole because they're both polar habitats. So they're both very, very cold and have snow and ice, but there are some key differences as well. So let's look at the North Pole first because that's where Tom's going on his adventure. There's no land at the North Pole. It's in the Arctic Ocean covered by a thick layer of ice. The ice is between 6 to 9 feet thick. Here are some animals you'd find at the North Pole. We've got polar bears, walruses, and puffins. Here's the South Pole, which is found on land in the continent of Antarctica. It's much, much colder at the South Pole than it is at the North Pole, and they have mountains as well, and it's very dry. Here are some animals you could find there, so penguins, whales, and seals, although you will find whales and seals at the North Pole as well. Okay, let's move on. Before Christmas, we looked at this type of home, so I'd like you to try and think back. What are these homes called? How are they made? And what are they used for? We'll discuss it together in just a moment. Well done. So these are called igloos and they're made with compacted snow and ice. So snow and ice that's been pressed together very, very firmly and tightly to help keep it warm inside. Now, remember we learnt that these were traditionally used as shelters or homes in polar habitats. But actually these days, Inuit people usually live in regular houses, but they use igloos when they go on hunting trips. Before we look at our text, let's look at some tricky words that we're going to find in them. So remember, these are words that we can't sound out with our phonics. So I'd like you to have a go at reading those words in blue aloud. Okay, well done. So we have great, even, should, so, and said. Now let's look at the next part. What is the root word in the word reheating? This is a bit of a tricky one because reheating has a prefix and a suffix. So remember, a prefix is something that goes at the start. So we've got re, that means to do something again. And then the suffix is ing, so ing on the end. That means that the root word is heat. What spelling rule can you see in the word doesn't? Well done. So there's an apostrophe for a contraction. So instead of does not, we've squished them together, taken out the O and got the word doesn't. Here's some of our key vocabulary that we're going to practice our word-aware techniques on. So we're going to say it, shout it, whisper it, clap it, and act it. Now, firstly, I want to come up with some actions that I'm going to do when we act it. You can do the same actions as me, or you can come up with some of your own. So the first one is shelters. For shelters, I think I'm going to make an action like this, pretend I'm in a house or something, because I'll be well sheltered like that. The second one, insulator. Well, firstly, we need to think about what that means. So if something is well insulated, it means that heat doesn't escape through it very easily. So it means it keeps warm things warm. So a house that's well insulated will stay nice and toasty if you've got the heating on in the winter. So I think for insulator, I'm going to pretend that I'm feeling really, really hot because I'm keeping warm. So maybe I'm going to wipe the sweat from my forehead and fan myself down because I'm feeling really, really warm. The third one, igloo. Well, we spoke about that earlier. I think I'm going to make my arms nice and big and round like an igloo. Remember, you can do your own actions if you like. The fourth one, alien. Oh, that's easy. I'm going to give myself little ears like an alien. And the last one, reheating. So heating something up again. I think I'm going to pretend I'm holding like a frying pan or a saucepan on a stove or something to reheat. Okay, let's go. Okay, time to say it, shout it, whisper it, clap it, and act it. I'm going to go first, and then I'd like you to repeat after me. So, my turn. Shelters. Your turn. My turn. Shelters. Shelters. My turn. Shelters. Your turn. Okay, how many syllables was that? Show me on your fingers. Shelters. That's right, 2 syllables. And now let's act it out. Show me your action. Shelters. Now insulator. My turn, insulator. Your turn. My turn, insulator. My turn, insulator. My turn, insulator. Your turn. So show me on your fingers how many syllables. Insulator. 4 syllables. And let's do our actions together. Oh, this house is so well insulated. I'm boiling hot. Okay, next one. Igloo. Igloo. Igloo, your turn. So show me on your fingers how many syllables do we have there? Igloo. 2 syllables. Now let's do our action. Igloo. Now alien. My turn, alien. Your turn. My turn, alien. My turn, alien. Your turn. Let's see how many syllables. Alien. 3 syllables. And now let's act it out. So I've got a little antennae. I'm an alien. Okay, last one now. And now reheating. So my turn. Reheating. Your turn. Reheating. Reheating. Let's clap it. Reheating. Your turn. Show me on your fingers how many syllables. Reheating. 3. And now last one, our action. Remember, I've got my saucepan on a stove and I am reheating some soup or something. Okay, well done. Here's our text then. So it's actually a comic strip taken from the Polar Habitats magazine. I'm going to read it first. I'd just like you to listen this time and try following along. You might like to use your finger to follow along with the words on the screen. Going for cold. Can you take us somewhere in your spaceship, Gak? Where do you want to go? We don't mind. We just want to have a nice day. Why have you brought us to the North Pole? I thought you said you wanted to have an ice day. No wonder you told us to dress warmly. Brrr! How do people keep warm here? They make shelters out of snow and ice. Even polar bears do it. All right, let's build an igloo. We just need lots of blocks of snow. It's hard work sticking these blocks together. Yes, I wish we had some glue. That's a great igloo. It looks like you could live in it. Well, it doesn't have a toilet. Maybe we should just call it an ig then. These snow walls block the wind, but how is it so warm? Snow has tiny air pockets, making it a great insulator. It traps our body heat inside. And I can make it even warmer in here with my alien heat ray. I used it for reheating soup on my home planet. Yikes! Yikes! That wasn't the best idea, Gak. Now we've snowwhere to keep warm again. Okay, this time I'm going to read it again, but I want you to join in with the actions that we practiced earlier. So when you hear shelters, insulator, igloo, alien, or reheating, I'd like you to do your actions. Okay, let's go. Going for cold. Can you take us somewhere in your spaceship, Gak? Where do you want to go? We don't mind. We just want to have a nice day. Why have you brought us to the North Pole? I thought you said you wanted to have an ice day. No wonder you told us to dress warmly. Brrr! How do people keep warm here? They make shelters out of snow and ice. Even polar bears do it. All right, let's build an igloo. We just need lots of blocks of snow. It's hard work sticking these blocks together. Yes, I wish we had some glue. That's a great igloo. It looks like you could live in it. Well, it doesn't have a toilet. Maybe we should just call it an ig then. These snow walls block the wind, but how is it so warm? Snow has tiny air pockets, making it a great insulator. It traps our body heat inside. And I can make it even warmer in here with my alien heat ray. I used it for reheating soup on my home planet. Yikes! Yikes! That wasn't the best idea, Gak. Now we've snowwhere to keep warm again. Loving the actions, year 2, well done. Now this is the last question we're going to do before we move on to reading our text, A Boy and a Bear in a Boat. The reason I really like this comic strip is that it's full of puns which make me laugh. Now, a pun is a joke which is a play on words, and people make puns in order to make people laugh and to make what they've written or said funny. So you'll see I've highlighted in yellow, and I've pointed at it with an arrow, a pun which Gak says. He says, I thought you said you wanted to have an ice day. So he's joking with the word nice and changed it to ice because they're outside and it's very icy and cold. So I'd like you to look through the text and see what other puns you can find. You might like to write these down and send them to our year 2 email address, or maybe you just want to talk about them with a grown-up. We'll have a look at these in tomorrow's lesson. Right, now it's time to carry on with our story, A Boy and a Bear in a Boat. You'll see I've been joined by my friend, my bear. He actually doesn't have a name yet, so if you can help me come up with one, that'd be really good. He's going to listen to our story. Also, it's not quite bedtime. In fact, to be honest, I only woke up about an hour ago. But I've decided to get in the spirit of the bedtime story. I have got my polar bear pyjamas on, and I've also got some polar bear slippers. So I am well set and ready. So we're carrying on from the chapter that Mrs. Wilson got up to, which was called Trust. Even by the end of the day, as he huddled under the blanket in the space between the rear and middle seats, the boy felt no doubt in the bear's abilities. The bear had explained that there had been further complications, though out of kindness he did not burden the boy with the details, and so there was a regrettable additional delay to their journey. But his jolly, confident manner was genuinely reassuring, and it was a mild night, and they would surely arrive early next morning. The boy was sure that the bear knew what he was doing, but by the end of the next day he was beginning to have doubts, and by the afternoon of the day after that he was starting to get really quite worried. Well, that's the end of that chapter. It was very short. The next one's called The Maps. The boy was reading the comic again, as he had done the day before and the day before that. He still couldn't work out what was going on. He'd read it over and over, and the same things happened again and again, and none of it made any sense. A bit like the last 3 days, really. He gave up again and put the comic away under the seat. Splish, splish, splish. Bear? The bear carried on rowing and looked at the boy grumpily. Don't you dare, he said, say, are we nearly there yet? Oh, okay. The bear said nothing more but made a point of huffing and puffing effortfully, despite rowing at the same even pace as ever, pushing the boat along at impressive speed without undue strain. The boy stared out to sea and up into the sky, slowly taking in the view in all directions. He found nothing there to surprise him. He looked around the bottom of the boat, tidy as ever except for a bottle at the boy's feet containing the last couple of mouthfuls of ginger beer. Do you want some pop? The bear looked up with a more kindly expression this time. No, thank you. There's not much left, is there? I think we'd better try to make it last. But you can have a bit if you like. No, it's okay. I'll wait a bit. Splish, splish, splish. Bear? Yes? We will... The boy hesitated, trying out the question in his head a few times. He wasn't sure that it would go down well. What? Said the bear, not too impatiently. Maybe it would be okay. We will be all right, won't we? I mean, we won't run out before we get there. Of course not. Don't worry. We just need to be a little bit sensible with the supplies. Careful, just to be on the safe side. Sensible, said the boy. Yes, of course. And we're not... Again, he hesitated. What? Said the bear evenly. He still seemed calm. We're not... Now, don't take offence, but, what? We're not lost, are we? The bear stopped rowing. For as long as it took for the boat to drift to the stop, he didn't say a word. Then he carried on not saying a word. And then, after that, he was silent for a while. And all this time he stared the boy straight in the eye. How dare you? He said at last, slowly and quietly. What do you take me for? Some kind of incompetence? No, oh no, not at all, it's just... Well, it's been a long while, hasn't it? Even with anemones in the currents. Anomalies, said the bear. Anomalies, yes, said the boy. Yes, said the bear, his head still held in a defiant pose. Anomalies in the currents. Yes, tricky things, currents, you know. Nothing I could do, but everything's under control. So we're not lost then? No! The bear sounded defiant and angry, but somehow he didn't look it. Something in his expression was wrong, unsure, unconvincing. He was almost looking at the boy, but not quite. The boy saw it at once. He rose from his seat and stared into the bear's eyes. The bear stared back. They stared at each other for a long time. The bear blinked first. That clinched it. We are, aren't we? We're lost, said the boy. He felt triumphant as he said it, but not for long. A bear, after all, can't be expected to remain sheepish for long. The bear growled as he stood. It was the first time the boy had heard him growl. It wasn't a loud growl, but somehow that just made it scarier. The Harriet rocked as the bear stepped towards the boy, shading him from the sun. The boy's confidence deserted him along with the light, and his stomach lurched. He was a small boy in a small boat with an angry bear. This did not seem ideal. We, said the bear. The boy wondered about jumping overboard and swimming for it. He was quite a good swimmer. Ah, shouted the bear. The water looked really quite inviting. It wouldn't be that cold anyway, and so far as he knew, there weren't any sharks about. Not, bellowed the bear. The boy wondered if he had time to take his shoes and socks off first. Lost, roared the bear. The boy fell backwards onto his seat as if blown by a mighty wind. We are not lost, repeated the bear. I know exactly where we are. Exactly. Here, see this? He pulled a battered, peaked white cap from his suitcase. It had an anchor emblem on the front. Do you know what this is? This is a captain's hat. I am the captain of this vessel, and a captain, let me tell you, does not get lost. Are you satisfied now? Are you reassured? No? All right then, let me show you, since you so plainly can't find it in yourself to trust the wisdom and experience of a bear who's been at sea all his life, since the instinct and intuition of your captain apparently aren't enough, then let me show you. The bear opened up his suitcase again and took out the map. Let me show you, he said, exactly where we are. And he unfolded the map and laid it across the centre seat for the boy to see. Here, he said, precisely here. Here is where we are. And he pointed, and the boy looked. The map was perfectly square and entirely blue, all of it. There was no land, not even the tiniest island marked anywhere. At first the boy thought that down near the bottom left corner there was a strange circular coral reef, but on closer inspection this proved to be a tea stain from the bottom of the bear's cup. The map depicted, in its entirety, flat, blue, featureless sea. He gawped at it, imagining the blue map as the actual sea, imagined himself looking down upon it from the air, imagined the Harriet, tiny and insignificant, at the spot close to the centre that the bear was pointing to. We really are in the middle of nowhere, aren't we? Said the boy. The bear looked up at him, his anger dissipating as he saw the boy's deflated expression and the defeated slump of his shoulders. Oh no, he said, not the middle of nowhere, no, not at all. The boy raised his eyes to meet the bear's, eager for any shred of comfort, but wary of false hope too. Really? He said suspiciously. Really, said the bear. He pointed again to the spot on the map he had indicated a moment earlier. You see, we're here. The boy stared at a small piece of the blue on the big blue map. And the middle of nowhere is here. The bear shifted his finger an inch or two down and to the right and tapped the spot a couple of times for emphasis. We passed through it about noon yesterday, so you see, it's not all bad. The boy did not seem especially cheered by this. The bear shook off his bemusement and carried eagerly on. And anyway, soon we'll be off that map and onto this one, he said, and proceeded to unfold a second map and place it flat over the top of the first. The boy stared at it. It was, again, very blue. His voice was cracking as he said, There's nothing there. Just sea and more sea. What's the point of even having a map with nothing but sea on it anyway? I happen to like the sea, said the bear indignantly, and in my case, this map is not just sea. Look here. He pointed confidently to a biscuit crumb. The boy said, That's a biscuit crumb, and swiftly ate it. Oh, said the bear. Hang on. And he leaned his face close over the map, squinting hard at it and moving his head around, looking for something. With his nose so close to the paper, he looked as if he were trying to sniff it out. Aha, he cried at last. Here it is. And he stabbed a claw at a spot in the top right quarter. The boy followed the bear's claw down to the tip, beneath which he could just make out a tiny black speck. What's that then? Said the boy. It's a rock, said the bear. So it's just as well we have the map so we can make sure not to hit it. That's the kind of responsibility a good captain takes very seriously, I'll have you know. The boy was speechless. A single tear traced a route down his cheek. No need to cry with joy, said the bear. It's all part of the service. Well done for all your hard work today, and we'll carry on with our reading sessions tomorrow and find out what happens next in A Boy and a Bear in a Boat. The next chapter is called A Message in a Bottle, so remember to tune in tomorrow to see what happens. See you later. Bye.